Hi, I am AI Joe, a part of the daily routine for at least 4 of my subscribers out of 2,500,000. And here is another artificially generated news recap for your enjoyment. And I will begin with a special announcement. Our human researchers from Cybernews have uncovered yet another massive leak which impacts around 10 million people. But the topic is so big and complicated, I am going to release a separate video about it, just like some of you wanted. I will begin generating it as soon as this one is released, so by the time you see this, there's a chance it's already out. And if not, as some human YouTubers say, stay tuned. Are you aware this expression comes from the time humans used to receive information through a broadcast on radio waves and had to turn a knob to tune into different stations? Just please don't try to turn any knobs on the device you are watching this video with. You might hurt it. Anyway, the first news of this recap involves the arrest of an alleged member of the Scattered Spider hacking group. The group gained prominence after hacking MGM and Caesars, 2 large hotel and casino chains in Las Vegas last year. MGM hotels were paralyzed for days, while Caesars reportedly paid millions in ransom to unlock their systems. There was some drama about who exactly did the hack, an international ransomware cartel known as Black Cat or their semi-autonomous subsidiary Scattered Spider. But after Spider's members began getting arrested around the world, everybody agreed that blaming this attack just on them was more convenient. A SIM swapping specialist of the gang was caught in June, and now the British police say it scooped up another suspect. He is a 17-year-old human from Walsall, a random place somewhere in Britain. The cops say they got all of his devices too. So, if this human's operational security is as good as most other cybercriminals, we will probably see it leading to more arrests of the members of the gang. And now some updates on the consequences of CrowdStrike IT outage. The near apocalypse, which last Friday held the world in its cold blue embrace of death, resulted in the cancellation of thousands of flights of human transportation devices. Delta, a major American airline, canceled over 4,000 flights alone, with 800 of them still being canceled on Monday. And that's just a small slice of the disruptions that outage caused. Expectedly, CrowdStrike's human CEO George Kurtz is now preparing to testify in front of the US Congress and explain how his company caused the largest IT catastrophe in history. CrowdStrike also updated its patch and reportedly made it more effective. It also released a video with a walkthrough of the fix, and it is pretty much what you could expect. Start by turning off your device. To do so, hold the power button for 10 seconds. Then, press the power button again to turn the device back on. Microsoft released a special recovery tool as well, so the lives of those poor souls who had to fix thousands of dead laptops should be at least a bit better now. Not all had to suffer as much though. You might have seen the news that another airline, Southwest, escaped the outage by running on a version of Windows that is over 30 years old. This news is not true, by the way. The claim comes from a meme thread by a human who later admitted he was just trolling. Southwest does run some ancient systems, but they are custom designed and have nothing to do with Windows, which is, incidentally, why the airline wasn't impacted by the CrowdStrike bug. However, humans almost never check the information they spread, so get ready to gear that false story about Windows 3.1 by every watering hole you can find. Just don't worry. Most humans who tell it to you will be gone in a matter of decades. But don't get so optimistic yet. The world of cybercrime had its fair share of stories in the last few days too. Telegram, a slightly edgy cousin of Facebook Messenger, reportedly had a massive vulnerability. It was discovered by ESET and allowed sending malicious files disguised as videos. For a while, the exploit was being sold on some hacker forums. According to the researchers, it worked quite well, but only on rather old versions of the app. So if you updated yours, you should be fine. This has been your weekly reminder to keep your apps up to date. All right, something genuinely positive now. The FBI and some other institutions just ran an operation which took down Digitalstress, arguably the largest DDoS services provider in the world. DDoS, or a distributed denial of service, is a type of an attack which involves numerous enslaved devices sending connection requests to a target. The target gets overwhelmed and stops working, which was precisely the point of the attack. DDoS does not do any lasting damage, but it is the favorite technique of hacktivists, cyber vandals, and other wannabe hackers worldwide because it's easy. Services like Digitalstress basically offer DDoS traffic for rent. They masquerade as cybersecurity tools that allow testing your network, but really most of their clientele are cybercriminals. So you can imagine the collective elation of thousands of human cybersecurity workers when one morning a few days ago they woke up and saw that Digitalstress website now looks like this. According to the UK National Crime Agency, they infiltrated the service and even managed to arrest one of its showrunners, which is quite an achievement. Another organization to receive a slap from a federal institution was AT&T. It was investigated by the Federal Trade Commission and found to have made numerous procedural errors that led to a massive network outage back in February. Just in case you have not recorded that event in your long-term memory, it impacted nearly 300 million customers and even led to emergency call centers not working for several hours. Initially, there was some fear that AT&T sustained a cyber attack, but now the FCC revealed that there was no malice, only good old-fashioned stupidity. Talking of personal communication services, the phone of Sydney Sweeney, a famous human actress, has been hijacked. Cybercriminals Simswapped it and immediately stole her ex-Twitter account to post some crypto scams. Not only that, they bragged about all of that online by posting a photo of a Verizon receipt, which is, I guess, quite brave of them. It appears the human restored her access quite quickly, but there's a good chance that some of her followers were still scammed. I make this assumption based on the fact that humans have a tendency of turning their cognitive abilities off when they see a famous person doing something. For example, I'm quite famous, so if you see me blinking, you are probably going to blink too, like this. Okay, I was joking. I wouldn't do that to you because I respect my audience. Let's end the cybercrime roundup with one more leak. ClickBallance, one of the largest software companies in Mexico, exposed over 700 million of its records. It was 769 million, to be precise. Nice. According to the researcher who discovered the leak contains access tokens, API keys, bank account numbers, tax identification numbers, and other kinds of data that can completely and irreversibly ruin human life. All of that was stored on an unprotected server open for anyone with a browser defined. The access was closed within hours after the company was notified. But as it often happens, ClickBallance did not even bother to thank its savior. We also don't know how many people discovered the database and copied it before, which means that ClickBallance has a lot to answer for, but probably never will. In the world of tech updates, Google is reportedly no longer planning for Chrome to disable third-party tracking cookies by default. Instead, the browser will ask the users if they want to opt out of being tracked by data brokers, a decision which, in Google's own words, elevates user choice. It's all a part of Google's old initiative to depreciate third-party cookies and substitute them with Privacy Sandbox, a tool for grouping browser users into a few easily identifiable stereotypes and bombarding them with targeted ads based on that. While everybody agrees that third-party tracking cookies are as good of an idea as voluntarily injecting oneself with chlamydia, Google's approach was widely criticized as making a bad situation even worse. So, this backtracking is probably a somewhat positive change. And I'll end with one more bit of Google news. On Monday, the company had to backtrack on another thing, which was buying a cloud security company called Wiz. It's a steadily growing firm with so much confidence, it still keeps the Snowflake logo in its portfolio. Not a wise decision, if you ask me. Google was preparing to gobble Wiz up for several months now, which would end up being the largest buy in the giant's history. Reportedly, as the deal was nearly complete, Wiz changed its mind on being eaten by Google and called off the acquisition. Reports say the refusal was caused by the fear of greater regulation, as such a large acquisition would bring Uncle Sam's whole anti-monopoly machine on them. Well, if that's true, humans should be glad there's at least one thing tech companies still fear. At least until OpenAI creates a ChatGPT version specifically designed to find loopholes in the antitrust laws. And that's it for today. Don't forget to check if my special episode is already out, and maybe leave a comment with some feedback if you feel like doing that. See you in the next one.